What I'm thinking of is, if men have to go through all the stress, they still have to bring the bacon home. And that can be an excuse.
Yeah, I want to give my children the best life has to offer.
Yeah, so you have to go out to work to get it.
Yes, but I think, partnership, two are better than one. So with partnership, with discussion with your wife, with the goals, you can begin to, from an early age, at this age, I know the school my children want to go to, begin to save towards it, begin to make sacrifices towards it. It depends on what's most important, prioritize, right? So I was a banker for about 15 years, so I've done the grind, I'm not perfect.
You quit banking to have time with your family or to try to make more money somewhere else?
I just felt my path was different, to go into entrepreneurship, to have time to do some other things I wanted to do. So it was a tough decision, but I think everyone has to come to a point in your life to say, what's the most important? And
even men.
Ask yourself, what legacy do you have of your parents? Was it the Barbie dolls they bought for you, or was it the time or the values they imbibed in you? In the end, that's what matters. If you ask yourself, for your parents, what do you think was the thing that they left for you? Was it the things they gave you, or the time and the values? And in the end, that's what matters.
So do you feel worried about the kind of dysfunctional families that you're talking about? Are you confident that we can cause a change?
I think so. I think, going back again to the initiative that I mentioned, the idea was not just to change the mindset of this young boy who doesn't know better, and his normal is very different and reality to yours and mine, but was also to change him from being that perpetrator to being that good bystander.
Is it easy? Have you found them responding?
They are responsive. It will take a while. Right now, we're at the point where we've just concluded a couple of sessions.
Who ran the sessions?
We have...
There was one you had with Richard.
Yes, RMD was one of the mentors in one of our sessions. What we do is we pair groups of boys with mentors, but we also have silent facilitators from the foundation who can pick up on the body language in the classroom setting. It's a totally male-oriented setting because boys tend to feel more comfortable around men when they speak on such sensitive topics. But it was more important for us to change their mindset, but also to give them the tools so that they recognize, as you said, when challenges occur and when life happens, that hopefully they already have that foundation where they will rise up and overcome and not, if you will, remember those periods back in their homes and their lives and their experiences where their dad would lash out because he wasn't equipped to deal with that particular pressure during that time.
Well, I think since we're talking about Father's Day, I just wonder though, what is the ideal father? And I want you to answer that question. The father that has time, or a father that is disciplined, or a father that doesn't cry?
I try to show my imperfections to my children also, to realize, that I'm not perfect. So I think the perfect father is the real father. You have struggles. So I share my stories. It's just that time of story, time of bonding.
I know one of those fathers that say, I was always first in class. Do you really share,
Well, not necessarily always first, but I just tell him 100%, give you 100%. Because, there's also a challenge of pushing the child even beyond, I'm pushing the child towards where you don't want the child. So parenting is becoming different in the generation that we are seeing. So it's not really about being the first, it's about being the best you. So give 100%. I think the perfect father, providing is one, leading, being the visionary, setting a chart and a path for your family, providing example. So it's not just doing what I say, but do what I do. So like I said, I try and treat their mom very well. I engage them, I sit down with my daughter. Yesterday, my daughter says, Daddy, I want to tell you about my day. And I tell her, sit down, let's chat.
How old is she?
She's 8. So she tells me everything happened with her friends, and I listen. I try to, it doesn't matter how pressed for time I am, but I want her to see that, she has value, and I will listen. I
wonder, though, Kemi, does that have some kind of negative connotations? That girl is going to be looking for everybody like her father, and she probably will never find such a guy.
I was that girl.
I was going to say exactly.
I have to say, I had, my father was the perfect father.
And you had 2 sisters ahead of you?
And sisters, and I had a younger brother. He was all the things. He was all the things you mentioned. He was, he lived for his family. He put us first. He was firm, but he was loving, and he could cry when the need arose. And so I was hard-pressed to find that, which, again, I'm very fortunate I found in my husband. And I can see that clearly your wife has found in you. So there are a few good men out there, for sure.
They're still there. So are you trying to create those few good men through your work, for example?
Exactly. We're trying to now, not just a few, how about we make it a collective whole? How about we say, you know, instead of just talking about dying species and talking about this wonderful young man and, you know, his family values, how about we make it the norm that whoever you speak to would be able to relate to your story, because regardless of their upbringing, they had some avenue, such as our center, our foundation, and other foundations, in finding that tool that they need to change their story and become more like you.
So, I mean, do you feel any, are you blushing?
Well, no, like I said, I always try to come from the fact. Yeah, I didn't know otherwise, because I was fortunate and blessed, because that was the family I was born into. Yeah. You know, my dad, you know, just picked up on those values. And,
do you know what your grandfather was like?
I don't know. I never met him. I never met him.
So it would be nice to find out. Maybe your dad decided, I'm not going to be like this man, or I'm just like this. I don't know. It'd be nice to know.
I know that at some point my dad made a choice and turned around his life, and that's so the repercussions is generations bound. So I try to do that with my son, and let me tell you where it gets interesting. In terms of nation building, I'm very passionate about nation building. You know, who is teaching our next president? Who is teaching our next Senate president? They come from families. So how have they been raised? Because when they do get there, when they have an ethical situation, it's the values that they've become, that will, you know, how disciplined am I? How forthright am I? It doesn't come from school. It comes from the family.
And so, daddy is?
Daddy's the teacher. You know, there's something I saw before I got married, and that really got me thinking in terms of the husband. 7 Ps. There's a husband is meant to be the priest, he's meant to be the pastor, he's meant to be the praying pastor, the praying partner, he's meant to be provider, protector. So there are 7 of them, and it was just so awesome in terms of what that does for a man. And for me, it tried to set me on that path. I'm still trying, and probably talk to my wife, you know, but it's just striving daily.
To your wife, I know. I know she's loved. So I've not seen your kids, but I know they are. So I just want us to both wind up. Our last words, if nobody remembers anything about this conversation, what would you want them to remember?
I think with regards to the young boys that we help.
And all the work that you do.
Yeah, just, you know, believe in our youth. Believe that we can change that story. And we can change that young boy's mindset.
I would say put your money where your mouth is too. And support Warif.
Absolutely. That's a better ending.
I'd say family is very, very important. And the things that you do or don't do can affect generations deep. You don't know how, you know, those actions that you do.
Especially our fathers.
Your son is watching.
So can we just collectively say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers?
So
Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So hopefully dysfunctional families will be a thing of the past, but it has to be individualized. We have to start from ourselves and be the change that we want to see. We'll see you again next week. It's been Seriously Speaking.